Did you know that ants can turn into zombies and experience the most horrifying process in nature? It all begins when a spore falls out of a fungus called Ophiocordyceps universalis, landing onto an ant. Without the ant even realizing, the spore attaches to its body and melts through a tiny spot in the exoskeleton, forcing its way inside. But this is where it gets disturbing. Under the surface, the fungus will slowly spread, wrapping around its muscles, organs, and taking over the nervous system. But the fungus doesn't want to kill the ant just yet. It wants control. So over the span of multiple days, it'll quietly feed off the ant's internal nutrients, growing stronger as the ant lives on. And once the fungus becomes strong enough, it'll fully hijack the ant's movements, using chemicals that force the ant's muscles to contract. Or the ant will suddenly abandon its own colony, never to be seen again. But the fungus controls the body, not the brain, meaning the ant stays fully aware. The fungus will then make the ant walk up onto an elevated area for one final process. On a high branch or leaf, it'll force the ant to bite down extremely hard on the surface, locking it in place, unable to move. The fungus will then absorb everything left from the ant and create a fungus stalk longer than the ant's body, which kills the ant and releases spores to infect the rest of the colony, repeating the cycle again. How did this dentist become one of the deadliest men in World War II and take out dozens of soldiers all by himself in one battle? It all began in 1944 during the Battle of Saipan, where a soon-to-be dangerous man named Ben Solomon was stationed in a US medical tent near the front lines. Ben was just a dentist who was there to replace a wounded surgeon, not expecting to fight. But everything changed when the Japanese launched the largest surprise banzai attack in the entire war, which is when hundreds or thousands of soldiers sprint at you through the front lines as a last-ditch effort. Where almost immediately, a Japanese soldier attacked Ben's medical tent, bayoneting a wounded US troop near the front. Ben was supposed to evacuate now, but without hesitation, he picked up a rifle and shot the attacker. And this was only the beginning. Two more Japanese soldiers rushed the medical tent, where Ben would shoot both of them, but they continued flooding in. Four more Japanese soldiers ran in through the front and crawled in from the sides, where Ben would shoot one of them, disarm the second, bayonet the third, and club the fourth with his rifle while a wounded soldier helped. At this point, Ben knew it would only get worse, his last recorded words being,
"I'll hold them off until you get to safety."
As the rest of the tent evacuated, the dentist went straight out into the front lines alone, manning an abandoned machine gun, firing at the enemies coming towards the medical tent for hours, wave after wave. The next morning, they would discover Salomon's body slumped over the machine gun, but was surrounded by 98 fallen Japanese soldiers that he held off all by himself. Imagine you walked outside and saw dozens of your neighbors violently dancing until their feet bled and collapsed unconscious. This actually happened in 1518 in a town called Strasbourg. All starting with this woman right here named Frau Troffea, one day randomly walking outside of her house and dancing in the streets. At first, people thought nothing of it. Maybe she just liked dancing or was a little bit crazy. But this is where things got weird. As hours passed, she just didn't stop, looking completely exhausted, drenched in sweat, and somehow kept moving all throughout day and night. And it only got worse, because people strangely started joining her one by one, dancing in this weird trance-like state. Still, it was only a few people, so no one too concerned yet. But as days passed, not only weren't they stopping, but people kept joining in, at one point reaching dozens of people. Now the town was worried, hoping they would just eventually stop on their own. But no. Their feet became bloody and bruised, bodies on the brink of collapsing. People tried dragging them away, holding them still, giving them food and water, taking them to church, and even built a stage with music playing to hopefully dance the sickness out. But nothing they tried was working, only stopping unless they physically collapsed. Some even reportedly dying from exhaustion, where this would go on for multiple months, starting in July, slowly fading out around early September, with 400 infected people in total. Whether it was mass hysteria, poisoning, or mental illness, to this day we still don't know the exact reason for the dancing plague. How did this stray dog become a US Army sergeant and one of the most respected war heroes in history? It all began when a stray dog wandered into a US military training camp in 1917. At first, he didn't bother anyone, just hanging around the camp, so the soldiers let him stay. And over time, he learned how to salute, march along with troops, respond to bugle calls, and even named him Stubby because of his short tail. But eventually, the soldiers had to deploy to Europe for World War I, intending on leaving him behind since animals weren't permitted on ships. But one of the soldiers named James Conroy built a deep connection with Stubby and decided to smuggle him on board. which ended up being one of the best decisions in history. But things got intense quickly. Stubby was immediately sent into the trenches as nothing more than moral support, where soon after his first few days, a brutal gas attack would injure Stubby. But this moment flipped a switch. After recovering, Stubby became highly sensitive to mustard and poison gas, warning soldiers before attacks even began, saving them multiple times. But Stubby kept learning more, becoming increasingly useful, eventually capable of detecting enemy artillery strikes before impact, spotted enemy movements at nighttime, bit and held onto a German spy mapping out Allied territory, exposing him to soldiers, helped locate wounded men after battles, barking until medics arrived, and got exploded by a grenade, but recovered and continued his services. Where throughout Stubby's career, he not only survived 17 battles, became a celebrity, was promoted to sergeant and won multiple awards, but saved hundreds of lives. And in 1926, Stubby would die peacefully due to natural causes, as a true war hero. Did you know there was a bear that fought in World War II alongside the Polish? It all started when a group of soldiers stumbled into a kid selling a baby bear in the Middle East, trading it with the kid for some food because they thought it was cute. And in the beginning, it was nothing more than a pet, feeding it milk and honey daily, keeping company in their tents, and even naming it Wojtek. But over time, the bear grew giant, over 6 feet tall and 500 pounds, planning on leaving him behind until they realized they could actually utilize the bear, deciding to register him into an official military rank called Private Wojtek, bypassing laws not allowing animals to travel, where Wojtek would actually work on the front lines with the Polish, helping carry heavy artillery shells or anything too heavy, saving tons of energy. Even off the battlefield, he would help detect spies, since every time one snuck in, they would freak out after seeing Wojtek, letting everyone know you weren't one of them. Horrifying reasons you could never survive the Titanoboa. Starting off, they were 8 times longer than you, reaching up to 50 feet long, about the width of an average home, and around 2,500 pounds, heavy as a small car. The largest snake to ever exist. But it gets worse. You wouldn't even know they were coming. Despite being as large as a bus, Titanoboas were actually ambush predators, commonly hiding in murky water, had camouflage skin, and made almost zero sound, staying almost entirely invisible when hunting you. Even more terrifying, it's estimated they could swim 8 to 12 miles per hour, easily able to outswim you. But even if you did somehow escape, Titanoboas had bodies extremely sensitive to vibrations, meaning they could feel every movement you make and find exactly where you're hiding without even needing to see you. Then if you think being on land will save you, it wasn't impossible for them to hide right on shore, within logs, under thick vegetation, or swamp grass in plain sight. But worst of all is when they catch you, capable of striking in less than a second, biting into you with a mouth that opens 3 feet wide, about half the size of your body, with teeth curved backwards, no way to escape once it bit you. And it wouldn't end quickly, slowly wrapping around your body, squeezing so hard, it would feel like a small car laying on top of you, cutting off your blood flow, all until you stop moving, swallowing you entirely whole.